Throughout the night, I lived in different dimensions, moving from one into another without any volition. It was as if the entire scale so far experienced now entered a further extension with parallel gradations, deeper and more real. Almost as if what was lived through had already occurred, and my clouded brain could only now register it in fragments as it passed from a higher form of existence to myself in the flesh. There was the awareness, as each new wave of seeing and experiencing manifested, that these must be endured to the best of my ability. There was no escape possible. This was so throughout all the days that it lasted. The whole was an ordeal that had no respite day or night. In it, I could not live, but at the same time could not die. It was an intermediary state from which I was powerless to free myself. And after anguish to the limit of my capacity, when I could bear no more, came the final splendor, the ecstatic tears, and the paean of praise in an unknown tongue. Yet the words in essence produce their own translation, and in a strange duality of consciousness, my human voice singing the unknown archaic syllables, my inner self conversant with their meaning and with what was happening to me, and my external personality trailing in partial oblivion behind. I yet grasped in my brain simultaneously the English rendition sentence for sentence. The transposition was immediate and pure. I remember now only a fragment, and I know that I know, and I see that I see, and I know that I know, recurring in a pattern, whirling in a circular cascade of experience and perception, whose keynote was joy. Now began an experience more beautiful than any registered in my life before. The cosmic self was received into a joyous reunion with her kindred. The reality, which was the core of all the deeper experiences, was without form or tangibility, and beyond description. Its transposition into words is but a simile, a faint reflection. She traversed time and retrieved in full her memory, and the bliss of self-knowledge overflowed like an endless fount. T saw a new inflow of evolving life sparks, superseding and overlapping the former stream, with adverse occult factors now eliminated, and all genetic strains left capable of strong, progressive spiritual growth. I witnessed the entire span of the incoming evolutionary wave. I saw Great Britain as a central nexus, from which source the whole world was in a spiritual sense. There were 12 previous schools or orders returning to incarnation, which would eventually be situate in various centers of natural energy in the British Isles. I believe there were a further 2, not formerly incarnate, but cannot be sure of this. All these schools would commence their work in inconspicuous ways, their ultimate flowering assured in the course of time. Many were derived from educational systems of great antiquity, not known to the world of today. All had the same cosmic root, and would work cooperatively in harmony, but their external presentation of knowledge would differ according to the needs of the time and the candidates. I saw their past origins and the reflections of their influence, which had survived through to the present day in some instances. There were ancient runes and rhymes, sung rounds and madrigals, customs, folklore, and fairy tales, still existent and organically alive, that had been used in the past for a hidden spiritual tuition, and could in this day still be reclaimed, reshaped, and reused. There was knowledge and wisdom long lost to the world, yet still fresh and vital, enlocked in green woods and sweet hills, clear waters, running streams, stones, and rocks, and one and the distant past, or was it the future? Small communities, stone cottages, the scent of wood smoke, a simple life surrounding a teacher, one who taught from his level of being in an everyday life of reflection, work, and rest. In some manner, I became fused with this great being and perceived myriads of souls released into life, and at the same time, the cycle of recurring existence they had passed through. I saw a great cycle, a span of time containing within itself many small cycles. Each lesser cycle carried its own attribute, or lesson, which manifested as a trend of development, with all conceivable possibilities for its use or abuse. Free will was an essential accompaniment at certain stages, as it charted a path which marked out the weakness and strength in each unit. It was not interfered with, though guidance was available the whole of the way. Inherent in the journey of each soul lay its correctives and means of growth. For the following cycle, or more correctly, the second half of each cycle, produced a reactive principle and turned back the soul's actions upon itself, and that which it had sown freely was reaped without choice. The cycle now concluding was in actual fact a half cycle, the first half, wherein free will was manifest, though I saw it contained many suffering the counterswing of earlier cycles, producing a long train of accumulative effect, grossly distorting the prevalent culture, the whole constituting a nadir point of weight and darkness in which egotism and cruelty flourished. The nadir also presented the end of a span of possibilities, for it synchronized exactly with the nadir of a great cycle, making it of special significance, a kind of full stop virtually impossible to explain. For here the circle spiraled, and for those properly prepared, constituted the onset of an evolutionary leap onto a completely new time track. And those who had not risen to their evolutionary opportunities must commence again the eternal round, in effect a restreaming. Tears streamed down my face. There was piercing bliss, the pulsating joy of longed-for reunion. Some kind of accolade, recognition of effort and reward. It went on for a long time, with tears of bliss continuously. At some point, on a different vibration, was reference to the outworking in my earthly life. At best, it could only be but a reflection, but I understood I would find it, bit by bit, in time.